Awesome. Thank you so much. We have the most expensive panel with over 11 billion in fully diluted value in this whole panel. These founders and, CEOs of foundations are going to be sharing about each of the ecosystem and some of the roadmap today and going through some of the challenges in running the layer ones and the big foundation. To start, maybe we start by quick intro and what unsolved problems you guys are solving with your protocol.
Sure. Hi, my name is Howard. I'm the founder of a new L1 called Alio, and I am also the CEO of the labs company called Provable. What we're trying to do is to bring privacy and private smart contracts into crypto. And a huge part of our focus for this year, 2025, is really to bring compliance techniques into the privacy space.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eunice Giarta. I am co-founder of Monad, now at Monad Foundation. The Monad blockchain is solving the scalability issue for L1s. We are working towards a decentralized future with on the base layer of an L1.
Hi, everyone. Amir, the founder and CEO of Puffer Labs. We are well known for our LRT product and also our products across restaking landscape. Currently have around $7 billion under basically staked assets within Puffer. The unresolved problem we're solving for is actually providing these execution environment for any application that is in sync with Ethereum itself. We're also solving the slowness of Ethereum and scalability problem by launching our own pre-confirmation service to provide under 100 millisecond transactions for Ethereum.
Great. My name is Robert Drost, you can see up there. So I'm CEO at Eigen Foundation. So Eigen Foundation is, of course, the decentralized extension of Eigenlayer, the protocol. And Eigenlayer is... we could talk about the restaking and the financial aspect, but just in terms of what our mission is, we are looking to allow crypto assets to be utilized to secure services that are autonomous and verifiable, meaning that they're unstoppable and you have guarantee either through cryptography or crypto economics that they are doing the right thing. And ultimately, the vision is that all of Web 2 and all of AI agents should be running on these type of autonomous verifiable rails and eventually settling back into crypto value in our ecosystem.
Hey everyone, my name is Tim. I lead global strategy across the Mantle group. Most of you know us as Mantle Network, which in true crypto ethos started out as a DAO 3 years ago. I don't know if you guys still know what a DAO is these days, right? But we were actually successful in creating an L2, but we've expanded fast forward today to more than that. So we are a diversified group. We have the Mantle L2 network. We've got about 4 billion market cap there. We have METH, an institutional grade liquid staking and restaking protocol, which has about 1.2 billion TVL. We have FBTC, the instrument for Bitcoin yield. It's a Bitcoin, a wrap Bitcoin, and that's about 1.3 billion in TVL. And you can see these as the liquidity rails and infrastructure to bring capital assets into the Mantle ecosystem. And then we are backed by our $4 billion plus community owned treasury to then top down, incubate or collaborate with products in the ecosystem and fill gaps that we see in the ecosystem. So the way we like to think about it is, look, I think the biggest problem in this space is we're lacking real products that have that solve user demand, like consumer facing product, etc. And so some products on our roadmap include an enhanced index fund that look to bring TradFi capital on chain in a TradFi wrapper, as well as a retail banking product that look to streamline payments between on-chain and off-chain. So if you zoom out, what do you really get? The way we think about it is we are building the foundational layers of on-chain finance. We are building Rome on-chain, and all capital and all roads lead to Mantle.
Awesome. My name is Baek Kim. I'm a general partner at Hash. We've been investing in early stage founders since 8 years ago, backing stellar founders like these guys. To start, I think we have an interesting group because many of you launched recently in the past few months. Maybe sharing about how launching a major protocol in this ecosystem in the market has been and how has been since the TGE and the mainnet launch. obviously the mainnet is the beginning, but there's a lot of work towards it. And we also have Monad, which is going towards the full launch. So I think it'd be interesting to hear from various stages of, recent chains that have, gone launch. Maybe we start with, Robert Eigen Layer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're starting with me. So, I think you've got a good mix on this panel of people that are actually doing chains, and then we've got some people that are kind of proximal to chains. EigenLayer is proximal to a chain. We, settle back into Ethereum in terms of security commitments that people are making with their tokens, as well as our Eigen token. And we have a lot of chains that are building on top of EigenLayer using either our data availability solution or using our staking solution itself, our restaking solution. So we did launch this past year. I think it is definitely a challenging environment. I think had we waited until this year, it would be a lot easier to do any launching. And I think since I said something that might be a little confusing about us not having a chain at all, I should just say, the reason that it doesn't make sense for us is one reason is that we actually want to partner with everybody on stage here, and partnering means not competing with them by having a chain of our own. So we just want it to be very crystallized and have our elastic kind of packetized security product be the main thing. And then the second is that, how many people have heard of like the modularization where you break a blockchain into different components? Data availability is a component, computation is a component, storage is a component. The key insight for EigenLayer back from the very original founding and the initial seed investments in it was that security and the forkability of a blockchain is a modular component. It's just normally wrapped inside of a layer one chain. So EigenLayer was looking to take security from everybody's tokens and allow them to project it into other chains, as well as invite security from other tokens into their chain. And so, actually separate out this component of, what truly decentralized trust is built on, which is blockchain forking.
Maybe Howard on Alio also reset early this.
Sure. And by the way, Robert, we'd love to work with you guys. So if we can chat afterwards.
Yes.
Alio it's a new chain. We launched about 6 months ago. To give you guys a little bit of background in terms of how we structured things, Alio is a U.S. launched chain. It's probably a very unique position to be in. The labs company is a U.S. registered company. The foundation is also a U.S. registered foundation. The team is also mostly U.S. citizens, U.S. employees. So it's a very unique position. And when we launched with our day one launch partner was a U.S. exchange, Coinbase. They were not only a validator on our chain, they also provided listing, custody, and staking support day one. For us, a big part of our goal is to be complementary to all the other L1s and L2s out there as well, in part because the key offering and the key technology that we bring to market is private smart contracts. It's something that you don't see on any other L1 or L2 today. And we think that there's a huge opportunity for us to make all of crypto not only compliant, but also confidential. The analogy I like to draw is to, if you look back 20, 30 years ago to the early internet, when everything was HTTP, there was no encryption. All traffic was kind of just open out there for everyone to see. You could also man-in-the-middle attack it. You could twiddle with the packets as they're being sent. And HTTPS was a huge primitive that enabled trust and also enabled e-commerce to really grow. We think the same is going to come with crypto as private smart contracts and as zero-knowledge proofs become the kind of predominant primitive that's being used across the industry here today.
Also, maybe from Amir or...
Yeah, so when we launched, we had one product live at the moment. We had this liquid restaking product that was the first fully permissionless liquid restaking. As you know, there was some criticism initially that it's hard to be exposed to restaking as format of like a higher yield if you were a smaller operator. So we made it fully permissionless across the map for anybody to participate in it. We are US based, but our target audience is quite global. Everybody uses our service at our LRT. At some point, we had about 500,000 users. Recently, we have expanded to this feature of launching and providing our yield products more accessible to everyone by making a roll-up, by making a chain architecture that people forget about saying L2s anymore. We want people to just go to applications and start using them. Today, if you look at Venmo, Stripe, or other payment rails, you create an account and start using it. The users on these applications wouldn't compete, say, oh, my AWS is better than your GCP. My infrastructure is better than yours. They say my Venmo is better than your Stripe. We want to create a future that applications have their own app chains. The users do not have to be confused which chain they pick, which chain they go into. It's fully abstracted away while it is secure and cheap. At the end of the day, users should have one Ethereum account and they should be able to take advantage of all these futuristic applications. If someone wants to launch a perp dex and want to take advantage of the capital market that is on Ethereum itself, they should do that way. On our path to launching, of course, we are on testnet with one of our alpha versions of our base rollup, we are taking advantage of economic security that established at EigenLayer to launch our own AVS. It's basically an application that has the economic security of EigenLayer. It's one of the biggest pre-confirmation services that provides these fast transactions for this app chain feature that we're building. What we are actually targeting, why am I sitting here in this institutional event, is I believe all institutions should have their execution environment or their app chain for their payment rails. They should have solutions for staking. They should have these offerings that they are able to provide and offer to their users without having to go to complexities of launching a new L2 or anything else. That's what Puffer's ultimate dream is, and that's what we're working towards.
Anything to add on the kind of general launch? I mean, you guys been around for long enough, but
Yeah, so we've been around. Is it working? We've been around for a while, so I think it's a testament to the littiness of our product. But I think I echo Amir's sentiment, which is we are also looking to build apps and abstract away everything on the background, work with great partners like EigenLayer. I think we kind of sit in this privileged position where the challenge isn't so much launching a new chain. It's a lot of folks face, okay, once you're out there, how do you attract liquidity? How do you attract users? How do you incentivize? We don't have that issue on the bootstrapping side because a lot of products that we are building, we dog food ourselves because we want that, right? And we will use the community treasury to put in a couple $100 million on the outset. And in that way, really get these guys to escape velocity early on. So case in point, we were early partners and I would say pretty instrumental in anchoring the early successes of players like Ondo, Agora, Athena, etc. So, not only are we looking to incubate, but we also partner with key players horizontally across the ecosystem.
awesome, thank you. And we have Monad that's approaching full mainnet. You've been watching a lot of the billion plus chains launch throughout the past 6 months. What are things that you guys are prioritizing and some of the things that you guys would be doing differently towards the full launch of Monad to come this year?
The first answer would be technology, definitely prioritizing a very stable environment. But then the other one is also a robust go-to-market. So that also means an ecosystem that is enriched by many use cases that both retail audiences as well as institutional audiences are expecting on a premier. I feel like I'm echoing for a premier blockchain launch. One of the biggest benefits of Monad is that as it is an L1 that is making innovations on the base layer, the restrictions of scalability are significantly reduced, and the ability to transact on a much higher scale is there. As an example, so the Monad testnet actually launched last week. And there's metrics that are live, either viewable through the two different block explorers and also on gomonads.com. If you guys want to take a peek, it is gmonads.com. And through that, you can see that even as testnet, it is globally distributed. There are 57 validator nodes right now and counting. There's going to be several hundred by the time mainnet launches across the globe, running on half-second block times. And right now, fielding several hundred transactions per second. I think last I checked, it was just a little over 300 TPS on a consistent basis, handling spikes of up to 10,000 transactions per second. this basically translates to the ability to handle a good amount of load. And when we think about the number of users that can be onboarded onto blockchains, the limitations are, well, I was going to say an endless. That doesn't quite work out. But anyway, breaking down the limitations.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm hearing a lot of no competition, collaboration throughout this panel. And I think the one key common aspect here is you guys have a inevitably close tie to performance of Ethereum, and you guys are trying to make it better in different ways. What are some of your thoughts on general Ethereum prospects and how you guys want to see the foundation or the general Ethereum ecosystem grow along with you guys, or in different way? Open for any.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the crypto space since around 2017, 18. And so kind of seeing good times, bad times, a couple times, repeated. Through it, the Ethereum kind of mission has stuck on this, being maximally decentralized while still having an upgrade and the product development roadmap, which kind of distinguishes it from Bitcoin layer 1, which is, hard and fast, never going to change, the technical equivalent gold. So I think, if I had a wish list for what I would like to see on the Ethereum side is, actually having, looking at the balance of how much they're doing that and kind of getting everything, prioritizing, moving very slow, very methodically, analyzing everything, and not fully giving that up. In the end, you need to get to that point, but allowing there to be some faster movements, bringing in, an aspect of kind of an urgency. I think we've had from the Ethereum side pretty good learning. If you look at what Solana has done well. Now, I'm not going to hop over to Solana for me personally because, as I said before, blockchains and forking and the ability for the community to really have a viable path to take their assets, their data, and their transactions to another fork if they have a problem with what's going on. I don't see that at all in Solana. They can talk about having thousands or 10,000s of validators, but where's another client to run? Where's another software development team that could run it? In Ethereum, there's 9 core client teams. We've already seen a chain like Ethereum fork and survive. Bitcoin is forked and survived. And so, that kind of aspect. But that blending of the kind of urgency that you have on the centralized side with the eventual path to the maximal decentralization, I don't think that the fear that we all have, if we're coming in blockchain and cryptocurrency from the establishing kind of a new world around technology and value, is that we do have to be resistant to very big political changes. We just experienced one last year. It can swing back the other way. We could have nations that fully kick out crypto, that unbank us, everything else, and we have to be resistant to it. So that aspect, I don't want Ethereum to give up.
Yeah, I'll just continue on that. I really like the fact that Ethereum picked out this angle that, hey, we're building a chain for the next decades to come, right? We want something to be resistant. Sure, if in one cycle our users didn't make a lot of money, that's okay. But you want something that is nation state resistant, everything resistant that everybody can rely on in the future. One recommendation is of course, we work very closely with Ethereum Foundation. We have been collaborating on researches with them. I think it would be much more beneficial if they decide to move faster as a tech company that is highly user focused. Something that they have really stepped on in the recent upgrades, like Pectra. I know it had a little bit of drama, a little bit of hiccup on Holsky testnet, but that's what testnet's for, obviously. But I'm seeing a big pickup on the upgrades that they're adding to Ethereum that are much needed to provide better user experience. I believe UX is everything. Why the UX is bad? Because the infrastructure is not good enough for the app developer to build something that the users can really use and take advantage of this on Ethereum today. It's expensive. it's like slow to run. Like you can't run like a perp dex very smoothly with like hundreds of like thousands of transactions on this thing. That's what like of course in combination we can like of course speed up Ethereum from out of protocol, but they can provide certain upgrades, opcodes that can support the scaling. For example, like you're going towards launching native rollups or some other upgrades that are coming in the future that are going to make running rollups cheaper and faster and like less fragmentation of efforts at scaling Ethereum itself.
If I could jump in here, I would actually echo that point very strongly. Like as a developer myself, in the early days, what attracted me to Ethereum was the fact that it felt so experimental. It was so new. It was so different from the status quo, which was Bitcoin, and I think that's the energy that brings developers to want to try a new platform. I think obviously Ethereum has grown. It has scaled a lot over the last decade, and that has obviously changed its modus operandi to need to be more methodical, more diligent. But I think what it could do well now is to really unblock developers from being able to experiment in their own ecosystems or in their own landscapes instead. And I think that if the priority towards adding, for example, new opcodes across different implementations and getting that rolled out could be done quicker, it could be done faster and done cheaper, then I think you're going to continue to see some energy momentum that will draw people to be building within the Ethereum ecosystem. But I think, for me, a big part of it is being open to experimentation and being open to adoption of new ideas.
2 quick points from my side. I think the first is it's interesting that ETH has found itself in this position. Part of it we view as growing pains. The other part is this debate between, should they keep more hands-on or to keep that decentralization ethos. From our perspective, at least at Mantle, because we're focusing more on solving the user's problem, building a business around that, we are somewhat agnostic and want to support the ETH Foundation and the industry in general towards point 2, which is we fundamentally believe this is the cycle in which institutions will drive adoption and come on board en masse. And we still think ETH is the place to be. And a lot of that really just comes down to how do you build on top of a tech stack that's decentralized, has the right security components, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why, we're here to stay, build long-term on that infrastructure.
I think it's interesting that all of us are up here today because of the success of Ethereum. So we can't completely ignore the fact that we are resting on the shoulders of giants, with Ethereum being a giant. However, that doesn't mean that is the end-all be-all. And so obviously we're seeing different innovations that each of our projects here are attempting to bring forth. With Monad, I personally believe in the L1 ethos, the L1 narrative rather, as that being a base chain as well. And from the perspective of being able to move quickly, and also seeing all of the frictions and the bottlenecks that we've seen, or criticisms or desire to see, whether it's through opcodes or new types of like design paradigms. As a new blockchain, we have the ability to shape it a little bit more so that at the very onset, the very beginning of launch, we can create a completely new design space, not just for builders, but also for other types of audiences, whether it be institutions, whether it be enterprises that are seeking a specific level of security or scalability or, whatever it may be, like reliability.
So, switching gears a bit, you mentioned an interesting point, Howard, on privacy and very, strictly US based. And, we met, I think 8 years ago, 7 years, like in 2018, when I think after the whole hot ICO boom, there was a big push around privacy as a new narrative thesis back then. But then most of the projects couldn't really deliver like functional privacy or, applications with actual privacy enabled on blockchain yet. And I think it's been a while since then to have, major project like Alio to, come back and launch and say that, hey, privacy is our focus. Because most of the ZK and all these cryptography has been more so focused on scalability than actual function of privacy. So I'm curious to hear, how you guys think about this, new thesis narrative. How is the market, recepting to the privacy as a not want, but like need? Yeah.
Yeah, so taking a step back, zero-knowledge proofs are incredibly new. The technology has been around for 30 years, but it's only in the past decade that computers, modern CPUs have become fast enough to even produce zero knowledge proofs in real time. And because of that, this is a very early technology. And I believe that there's not just software, there needs to be hardware to make this stuff practical at real world scale. When you look back 10 years ago to when Zcash first came about, that was a pioneering technology because they said, how can we take zero knowledge proofs, which just became practical for modern computers, and make a very small statement about payments, just about being able to send a coin from one person to the other. There was no practical ability yet to use zero knowledge proofs for general purpose computations. And it's only in the last few years, about the last 3 to 4 years, that you've actually started to see the technology become mature enough and fast enough to actually scale to general purpose smart contracts. And so, for example, on a chain like Helio, we're the first to actually launch a ZKL1 that has private smart contracts because the technology has only just become ready and viable to do Solidity-like logic at scale today. And so this technology is at its infancy. We're very excited about it because it unlocks a ton of new capabilities. Just take, for example, the use case of payments. Right now, there is very little conversations happening about compliance. That's an area that we want to be at the forefront leading. And even yesterday, I gave a talk about introducing 3 types of primitives that we think are going to be critical for private transactions, namely introducing escrow time locks, introducing policy engines, and introducing verifiable credentials. These are key technologies that are going to need to have different requirements and different capabilities for different jurisdictions. Meaning for a DApp to apply to local laws and regulations, they're going to need to have customizability. That customizability is only possible if you have smart contracts that are ZK based. And so, we're in the very early stages of exploring that and getting that out to market. For us, we think that that is going to unlock real world payments for people because right now, if you want to go to your local coffee shop and buy a cup of coffee with USDC, the barista is going to know your address. And now they can see how much money you have. They can see how much money you make, how much money you spend, how frequently you spend. It becomes a huge privacy leak and they can track you for the rest of time with that information. That, in my opinion, is a huge no-no. And so you need a chain that has private smart contracts to not only provide assets like private stablecoins, but also to do it compliantly.
Thank you. For Emil and Rover, completely different topic, but as a venture investor, I've been noticing a lot of new protocols modeling with your point systems and reward systems that you guys designed, which was massively successful, and it was more of a new design to get the early momentum and engagement going for the new protocol. And Puffer, you guys launched a new token called Carrot to add on top of that. I'm curious how the initial idea of this point system came about in these chains you mentioned, and what are some of the lessons since then? Yeah.
Maybe I go. So points have 2 parts really into them. Of course, the experience of the previous protocols that launched, but also the regulatory landscape. I know since it's apparent to all of us last a couple 4 years on privacy, of course, which is, by the way, a no-brainer to have. I'm just surprised we're just so attacking it so much. But remember, the initial Web 2 when we started, everybody was attacking HTTPS and the privacy as well. But we're at a point that we are just getting over on these humps. Anyways, the point systems came about actually sort of copying the existing point systems that people have on their credit cards, they have on their memberships and other paradigms. But also it's a nice degen thing to speculate on in crypto because you get a bunch of points that you don't know how much they're going to really worth in the future. So it feels good to just kind of get addicted. That was sort of the points addiction that era created good sort of excitement about it. What we learned from it is actually this excitement wasn't really paying off well because almost everybody who went through the point system was not happy about it. Why? Because today, of course, airlines gives you points, it has a value, it might get diluted. Same happened for crypto as well. People were getting points that they were just getting printed out. You didn't have a cap on the points, users couldn't really put real value on it, and oftentimes after the TGE or the airdrop, they were usually quite disappointed. And because of the regulation, you had to create such a vague fog around it that you can't really measure it, you can't even put a value on it. What we decided to do, we were we're on this on-chain world right now. Everything should be transparent. points should be on-chain thing. They shouldn't be running in the back end of like a company that they can manipulate it or they can change it and ultimately create the dissatisfactory customers. What we said was like, okay, we're going to create a very market, limited amount of points tokens, let's say 100 million carats, that's what we call them. And they're going to represent however many airdrop or rewards that we're going to give in the future. Users can have an exact feeling of what they're going to get at the end of this campaign. They're not going to get diluted. And if they want to, the same way you can use your points today to like sell them, whatever, on airlines or other places, you can just trade out of your position. And if you give it to someone else who's like more excited about this incentive they're going to get in the future. More transparency, more decentralization. It's not something that we can manipulate anymore. And I believe at the end of the day, it's a good way to also create like a long-term committed users to come to your protocol and use it. At the end of the day, we are a new smart contract. We have a set of risks associated with it. We have to sort of like kind of offboard that risk for the users by incentivizing them to come and use our protocol to bootstrap it. And that's why I'm defending these whole like points campaigns as well.
Okay. That Amir, I think, covered almost everything there. So I might just add 1 or 2 points about that. I think, I think communicating about points, we try very hard to talk about them the way that we were treating them, which was loyalty points and kind of a scoreboard that would allow us to see a little more what kind of activity people were doing with the chain. I would say, I don't know, Amir, if you were earlier. I know for sure from our perspective, we were using mechanisms that other people had already created in different ways. So points had sort of emerged at a certain point around 2022, 2023 timeframe. I think, it's a good thing to think about points. It's the larger category is how do you airdrop? How do you kind of recognize the community that helps you get going in a chain? And a little bit beating dead horse, and we've got a whole shift in the regulatory environment now. But ideally, there would be something that's a little more understandable between various jurisdictions and crypto protocols on what are the right ways to do this. I think we've all been a little bit searching in the dark for something that honors the user's commitment and the loyalty that they give us early on in a good way, because we're all trying to invite in good community members. And points generally have worked. I think they got a little bit of a bad reputation in 2024, but I noticed
It was a bit overheated, yeah.
a little bit. But I think, this year it seems like they're coming back. I've been seeing a number of people talking about that.
And it's been used in different ways, such as like through NFTs or other ways to airdrop, such as like Punch Penguin or Azuki coming with the token as well.
I mean, I should say, it is definitely a portion of crypto that it's a fun space. People enjoy getting involved in it, and it's very exciting to kind of learn about protocols and kind of be recognized in a way that, it's hard. You mentioned, loyalty points. Could be Starbucks, could be, an airline. It's pretty nefarious. Like, what does that mean on those points? They change all the time. So it's a diffuse mechanism, but certainly I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Awesome. I think we're ready to wrap up. Maybe quick thoughts from you on, expectations for the general ecosystem for, 25.
Maybe everybody, it's apparent, like if we had a price chart behind us, things would have been much more apparent. Like we're going through cycles, like market is going to have cycles. But this technology is here to stay. The future of finance is this. The internet of money is going to be this. Like, that is the future. Like, this thing is not going to go away. The market, the prices are going to go up and down. Like, users are going to move from different sectors to different sections according to their incentives. But at the end of the day, this technology is here to stay. So I would encourage any institutions or anybody else to move into it to take advantage of it right now.
Yeah, we're in kind of a unique environment right now, in terms of, in the US in particular, but also the maturity of a lot of technologies that are coming to market, whether recently or upcoming. I guess a quick pub for Monad Testnet and Monad blockchain. Testnet is live, and there's an ability to claim a couple of faucet tokens just to play around on it. But then beyond that, we're looking forward to launching mainnet soon, and hopefully a new paradigm of use cases thereafter.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. I think 2025 is the year of ZK. Keep an eye on privacy. Keep an eye on Alio. I think you're going to see some incredible new technology and new types of applications come to market this year.
Yeah, I'm very excited in this hopefully long bull cycle that we go into, that we achieve new things. The last bull cycle, one of the memorable quotes I remember from it was when Warren Buffett pointed out that at the peak of the 2021 cycle, the crypto market hit about 3 trillion in total market cap. And when asked about it, he just said, it's hard to get excited about an entire market that's worth the market cap of Microsoft. So I think there's a lot more recognition now that digital assets are a new part of the financial world. I think that we're going to see a rapid expansion. I don't know that means one token is going to go up to a crazy amount, but just the proliferation, just even across the stage, the amazing people and protocols that people are building is in some going to bring in more people and make this an asset class that gets recognized. Hopefully we move away from, having 25x, 5x down type cycles, because I don't think that that's sustainable. But, crypto has been the Wild West, and maybe there's another cycle or two of that.
Yeah, from our side, I think we're just excited about everyone in the last 2 cycles building a lot of these composable Legos. And now, with respect to cycles, sometimes you aggregate, disaggregate. I think now's a cycle where there's enough pieces on the table where strong enough contenders can pull them all together and launch products that are more retail facing and build a meaningful application. And that's what we're really excited about.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the audience for joining us at Beltai today.
Yeah.